Hello readers, so I know it's been a minute, but I did not read that many books in the months of March, April, and May because I was busy with a lot of school things, so I didn't have time to make a video either, so I'm just going to make a combined book haul of all the books I read in those 3 months for you tonight. So, and I will still do my normal ratings and explanations. So, Binding 13 was the first book I read, in like the Boys of Tomlin. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll have to fact check myself on that. In the series, it's a pretty hefty book, but I brought it for my friend and read it because I'd seen it advertised, so I borrowed it. I think I would give that book a 3.5 out of 4, 5, 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was pretty good. It took a while to get through, but once I got into it, it was very interesting. I probably will eventually read the next books in the series, but just because of how long it takes, I'm not sure I will unless I read the next one and it's really good and then I become more invested in the series, then I'll read the rest. There is some spice, but they are like Irish, so some of the slang is in there and there is some language and it's definitely for older readers, but I thought it was a decent book series. Then I read A Fate Inked in Blood, which was the book of the month that I got. You should check Book of the Month out, by the way. And this book was okay. It wasn't my favorite fantasy book, but it definitely was not terrible. It followed this girl, Freya, and then she has a husband who's terrible, so then a lot of stuff happens, but then she ends up falling in love with this other guy, even though she's already married to this other guy. It's really complicated, and it deals with a lot of different things, and her elevation and status, and she has powers, and then there's betrayal. It's interesting. I'd probably give it also 3.5 out of 5. I don't know if I will go hunt down the rest of this book series. I honestly don't remember it that much, and that's saying a lot because I remember books that I like. So, do with that information what you will, but then I read Rock, Paper, Scissors by Alice Feeney, and that is a adult fiction thriller book, and that was 5 out of 5 stars. The plot building, the characters, the way they interacted, all the twists and turns, and it was just so, the plot twist at the end was absolutely wild. That book was so well written, and just, it really, was such a good read. I recommend that book a million times over to anybody who is interested in that genre, or anybody who wants to read it all, because it will definitely captivate your attention no matter what books you like to read. It's such a good book. So, then I read The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. Honestly, it's been a minute since I read this, and I think I would give this book a 4-star, but it didn't really stand out to me that much. But it's a fun, lighthearted read. Read it, oh, no, okay. All of her books are pretty good, easy, nice, little romance books that you can read, if you're in a reading slump, so I would say it's good for that. 4 to 5 stars, good writing, good characters. Not that memorable, though, to me, so I can't really give you that much information. And then I recently, on a lot of different sources, I read Divine Rivals. This book is one of my top of the year this year so far. 5 stars, definitely. It is such a good book. The characters, the way it's set in the older times, but still modern, and there's magic and there's mythology, and the characters are so good, and there's love and romance, but there's not smut or spice, so you're good there. It's so good. I love this book, and so I recently just bought the second book, so I will have to do that in one of my upcoming reading videos because I loved it so much. I just had to buy it. Go read it. It's so good. I promise. Yeah, it's definitely worth the read. Then I read The Great Gatsby. This book was probably a 3 out of 5 stars. It definitely was not what I was expecting because I heard so much about it because it's a very popular book written in the 1920s of Scott Fitzgerald, and I did a play that was involved it. It's not what I was expecting. The way the characters were involved and how Gatsby was in love with someone who's already married, but then whatever happened at the end is wild. I don't know if I can recommend this book to anybody because it's not something I would personally recommend. I'm not really sure what all the hype around it was, but it's definitely interesting, that's for sure. Then I reread, this is a reread, I read Once Upon a Broken Heart because I just bought the second one, and I love this series, and I love the pre-series, Caraval, also really good. This follows, so Jax is a character who is in the Caraval series, and he's also in this character, but he's like an interest of the girl who is Evangeline Fox in this book. It rotates around Evangeline Fox, and the other characters from Caraval are, some of them are in this book, but they're not really hit on except for Jax. Jax is in it a lot, and he's talked about a lot, and he's one of the main characters in this book and in this series, and it is definitely worth a read. 5 stars. All this author, Stephanie Garber, her books are all good. This whole series, 10 out of 10, would recommend. Go read it. It's so good. Magic, the characters, the world building, it's so good. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And then I read Betting on You by Lynn Painter. Another pretty breezy book, light read, fun romance. I actually like this one, I think, a little better than The Do-Over. Better Than the Movies is still my favorite one by her that I've read so far, but I think I liked Betting on You a lot. It was very interesting to see their progressions because it's kind of like enemies to lovers, but not really, because they weren't really enemies, but they just didn't like each other at the beginning. And then like there's also plot with like her mom and her new boyfriend and all that, and how the family works. So it's very interesting. There's a fake dating side plot if you like that. So yeah, these were the books that I read in the past 3 months. So keep on a lookout for my June books, and hopefully I'll have a few more reads, and hopefully I'll get a reading vlog out soon and an annotating vlog out. So thank you. Bye.